Yes, I think we are set now. We can begin. Anthony, are you there with us?
Hello, good morning. I can hear you, Eric.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And thank you so much. So just in a few, just give me like a minute. I want to share my screen and then we can get started. Just 1 minute.
Okay. Also, just to remind you to share the link to your friends and colleagues so that they may be able to join our free Zoom webinar for the day. That we can also continue to grow in our procurement area. So I will be posting the link, or if you have it with you, you can kindly share it with more people so that we can have a bigger audience and a bigger opportunity for us to continue to learn.
Hello, Eric. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, and to all of our participants for joining our session today. My name is Anthony Mkuhi, the Academic Registrar at Humanitarian Global. Before we get into the main agenda, the main session for the day, I would like just in a brief way to take you through on the background information of Humanitarian Global for you to understand who we are and what we do. This is indeed our first webinar when it comes to procurement and supply chain management. We are excited, and before we get into the topic of the day, Humanitarian Global, this is an institute that is based in Nairobi, Kenya. Our main focus has been to work with both humanitarian and development professionals when it comes to capacity building. So that is what we do, and we are based in Nairobi, Kenya, and we do offer this kind of training both on site and also online. So that means regardless of where you are from, we can always get to connect with you and train you as you undergo your day-to-day activities. So we offer and support the learn on the go mode of learning. This is where we have an e-learning system platform where you're going to interact with the course facilitators and also be able to study on at your own pace. So among the key areas that we focus on handling, we do offer training and learning. That is our core area of focus. And under this category, we ensure that we can offer online courses and training programs. So even way beyond these webinar sessions, we're going to be taking you through some of the courses that we have when it comes to procurement and supply chain management and also other areas. So apart from that, we do organize for webinars like the one that we're going to be having today. We do organize for training and workshops. And that means if you're here and you feel that your team does need capacity building in these areas, and I'll take you in a short while some of the areas that we tackle. In addition to the procurement and supply chain management, that means you can always reach out to us, and we're going to guide you on how to go about that. We also do organize and host conferences, and you can always follow us on our social media pages and also the website so that you can stay updated on what is upcoming. We also do handle capacity and team building activities, organizations, and also groups of individuals. So in that capacity, you can also engage us. Secondly, we consultancy services, and this is where we ensure that through our pool of experts. So that means we do work. Eric, just confirm whether you can hear me as I proceed.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. So another area that we do handle, that is a consultancy, and we do ensure that through our pool of experts, and like today we have one of our experts in procurement and supply chain management. We're going to work with you on the individual capacity or even the organizational capacity so that we can provide solutions to you and offer professional advice as well. So that means you can engage us so that we can support you when it comes to seeking professional advice or even working with you in the capacity of our consultancy services. And then thirdly, we ensure that we can promote and champion for humanitarian and development work. And that's why through our website, we are able to showcase and share stories of other humanitarians across the globe so that we can also give you the platform to publicize your humanitarian initiative so that you can reach out to the global audience. Lastly, but not least of what we do ensure that we can share blogs and discussion forum. So blogs, this is where we keep you posted with the content around the area of procurement and supply chain management, among other areas of focus over humanitarian issues aspects, to make sure that you can remain informed in those areas. We have a new segment that is discussion forums, and this is a platform that we have created and introduced so that we can connect even way beyond the webinar. We're going to be having a platform which I'll show you shortly on how you're going to be part of the humanitarian global community. So we want to have you as part of the humanitarian global community. And this is where we want to link up with you, engage in meaningful discussions, conversations way beyond the webinar. The webinar is 2 hours long, so it might not be enough for for us to cover everything, and that's why we have the humanitarian global community, so that we can interact on that forum. So just in a quick way, some of the areas that we manage to cover besides procurement and supply chain management, we do offer training and learning and consultancy services to areas such as monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning, that is MIL. We do also participate in water sanitation and hygiene training and capacity service, consultancy services as well. Disaster risk reduction and management, food security and nutrition in emergencies, procurement and supply chain management, human nutrition and dietetics, maternal, infant, and young child nutrition, and among some of the upcoming areas that we are going to introduce very soon. That is public health, project planning and management, gender-based violence, data analysis, child protection and livelihood support, climate change, and also humanitarian principles and essentials. So those are among some of the areas that we tackle. And you can always, follow our website, check out with our website, so that you can see the programs that we offer there. So as I said, we do have a humanitarian global community. And this is a forum that we're going to even keep on sharing the link as the session is in progress, so that you may sign up. So we want to connect with you from different parts of the world, different countries, different continents, so that we can share and get to learn from each other. So that means we want you to be part of the humanitarian global community. We're going to be sharing a link with you, so that even the questions that we might not be able to handle within the 2-hour class that we're going to have now, we can now respond to them later on this platform. So it's very easy. Once you get the link, make sure that you can sign up. And signing up means you just have to use your email address, choose a username, your name, and then your password, and then your account is going to be set. Once you have that account, make sure that you can locate. So we're going to introduce a procurement class forum here, and then make sure that you can join that forum. The first topic is for you to introduce yourself. And then you will see topics that you can reply to, and then even post your questions. So afterwards, after the session, I'll do a quick demo again, so that it can be easier for you to sign up. So now, because I can see the time is far much gone, I would like to say way beyond the session that we will be having today. Always feel free to reach out to us, so that you can sign up for your for certification and further training in these areas. So just a quick reminder, this being a free session, we do not offer certification at all. We do not offer certificates at all. So that would mean that this is a session that we want to, you to benefit. So I can see maybe some of us asking whether we give certificates, but the answer is no. If you want certification and those kind of documents, you can sign up for our programs. And the good thing, we are running a promotion discount, so that means be able to reach out to our team on the chat section, so that they can guide you on how further you can enroll for further training in these areas and others, and how you can get certified in the same area. And then lastly, just as a quick way of enlightening you on the importance of data privacy, we do treat your data with utmost confidentiality. And we also want you to be very much aware that maybe sharing your contact details on the chat, that is exposing your personal data to the entire internet. So I would urge you, just refrain from sharing your personal details, be it your mobile phone or even an email address on the chat section. Maybe if you're interested in some of our services, you can just inbox the host of the meeting, or maybe our team, and they are going to guide you further. So let's keep the chats for comments and commenting on the session. And then for the Q&A, that's where you direct your questions. So with that said, let's not see your emails on the chat section. Let's continue to refrain from sharing the emails on the chat section, and make sure that you can follow up with the session. So thank you so much, and welcome, and back to you, Eric.
Thank you for that, Anthony. Thank you for that introduction. Our next person is our key speaker for the day. Andrew, are you there with us?
Yes, good morning once again.
Good morning, Andrew. I hope you're well. I think as of this moment, you can begin, and maybe you can start by maybe giving us an introduction about yourself, and then we can continue with the session.
Wonderful. Good morning once again. My name is Andrew Mondi. I'm a supply chain and logistics expert. I've been serving this industry for more than 10 years. I've served both in government, in public and private sector, including the NGOs. And I have both the theoretical and hands-on skills. So I'll be taking you through this session as we discuss about the overview of supply chain and logistics management on the humanitarian global operations. As we progress, I'll give a disclaimer that due to limited time, I may not be in a position to go through everything, but I'll try my best to cover what's required. And for that case, another disclaimer is I'll be using some cases, examples, maybe from different countries. And in one way or the other, it's not personal, it's just a matter of academics. So take it for the purpose of education purpose. Without much further ado, I'll go direct to the discussion is about an overview of supply chain and logistics management on the humanitarian global operations. Before I proceed, there are a few comments I've put on the board. One of it, why do we need humanitarian knowledge? Why should we have this knowledge? Two, why now? Why should we have this information now? Then the third one, who are the customers? So during all these processes, who are the customers? Then the other one is, how do we measure the failures and successes? How do you measure the failures and successes?
Andrew, are you there with me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but can you also share your screen? It seems to have gone off.
Oh, sorry. Let me just share it right away. You can see it right now?
Yeah, but also maybe make it full size.
Okay. Thank you. Now we can proceed.
Yes.
As I was saying, those are some of the four questions I put across, and by the end of the session, we shall be in a position to answer these questions. And also, before we go to the nitty-gritty of the requirements, I've given a few examples that are happening in the world of humanitarian, because our key purpose here is to understand how supply chain and logistics are related to humanitarian sector. Now, whatever you can see on the chat board, you can see that we have a picture of people, and you can see the way they are looking. This shows more of about there's a drought or hunger in that area. These people, they doesn't have any hope. They're helpless and desperate. You can see their faces, the way they're standing. They don't have any good personality on it. Another one is about no basic needs. Foods are not there. Clothing, you can see the type of cloth they are wearing. You can see even the area itself, the way it looks like. Also, just waiting for good Samaritans to come and intervene so that they can help them move away from this helpless position. You can see how it is. So they're waiting for a good Samaritan to intervene. And the last one, you can see how the environment looks like. The environment is not favorable, looks very harsh, which doesn't support the human survival. The second one is about floods everywhere. You can see people people who are displaced in their homesteads. Now they're trying to move away from where they've been living. And you can see how the life looks very pathetic to them. And actually doesn't look nice to everyone, because you can see even that lot of people moving from one region to another, and they are carrying their belongings. In such a case, the person is not in a position to carry everything. He's only going to carry whatever he can afford to. He can afford to. Floods everywhere, leading to loss of our valuables. Now, another one is about disruption of our lives. Remember, people have been living well wherever they are, and now the flood has come from nowhere and has made them to disrupt their living or lifestyles. Hope is lost, because even the plan you had, the activities you've been progressing with, you can't progress, because if you don't have that shelter, or if the environment is not conducive for you to live in, then you cannot be okay to stay. And in such a case, when the hope is lost, you're waiting for someone to come from anywhere who can come and secure you or help you so that you can go back to your normal way. In such a circumstance, you leave everything to God. You leave everything to God, because He's our kingmaker, and no one else can do this. The other one, when we have floods wherever we are staying, or for the affected people, our neighbors, friends, to stay in such areas. These are challenges facing the human during such circumstances. The other one, you can see the earthquakes or landslide. You can see those valuables everywhere. The property.
Andrew, kindly
Yes.
share your screen with us. We seem to have lost it again.
Oh, sorry. Now, another picture is about earthquakes happening within a given area or landslide. And when this happens, then there's the destructions of properties. The destruction of properties as it's visible on board, and also other valuables like vehicles, those maybe besides vehicles, we have other properties we are owning, they'll also be affected. And another thing is about when this is happening with the current technology, the information will be passed in the media, and people are going to spread the information so that the reliable or the required team can take the appropriate action on time without any delay. Thank God the current situation, the current activities right now is good, that whenever everything is happening due to advanced technology, the information escalates faster. Rescue team on ground to save the affected lives and remained items. Now you can see those people who have joined to secure or save the lives for both lives and the properties. You can see they are wearing helmets and they are fully armed so that actually they can secure what's available. Accessibility to the area sometimes is uncertain because the area may not using the different machines and the equipments to access may be impossible. So it affects the entire region on how to reach them. These are the challenges we are talking about humanitarian. The other one you can see floods again, and floods all over the place. The area is still affected. This will affect the movement, and now it will force the team to use different mechanisms on how to move from one region to another one. And also you can see properties are affected. It makes the area inhabitation. People may not be in a position to stay there because the water has flooded everywhere in their properties. Definitely for the people who are entrepreneurs, people who are progressing in different businesses, especially the SMEs. In such a circumstance, they'll be disrupted. In such a circumstance, they'll be disrupted, and now this blocks them not to proceed with their activities. In that case, the life becomes difficult. The life becomes difficult. Now, we have seen different pictures, and the last picture, you can see these are refugees. You can see the kind of structure they're using. These are refugees who have secured a place to call a homestead. The green numbers from the global refugee figures is as below. The total number, the total population affected within the world is 28 million. Is 28.4, to be precise, 28.4 million. This is a big number which is affected within the world. 82.4 million refugees. And the second one is about people who have run away from their homesteads, their countries to other countries, comprises of 26.4 million. Those are refugees. 26.4 million. And those who has displaced internally are 48 million. This disruption, be it flood.
Hello, Andrew.
Yes, again.
Oh, sorry. I think we just lost your screen.
Oh, so let me do it once again.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah, sure.
Good. You are there? So these are green numbers. These are the exact numbers that are happening right now as we are talking. We are saying that the total population who are refugees are 82 million. 82 million is a very big number. It's a very big number. And this is a number that needs our rescue. This is a number that needs our rescue. Remember, every life is valuable. And there's no way we can lose any life just because our neighbors have been affected in one way or the other. We are supposed to be there for them. We are supposed to be there for them. So this is the raw data and this is the exact information. This information, you can access it from the UNHCR or UNRWA. This information was collected in last year around November. So this is the current data that's happening within the global. Another level is about the comparisons, the equity and the equality. The equity and equality. That equality, this is giving everyone the exact and same resources without discrimination on gender, race, and etc. Be it age, whatever. And then equality involves distributing resources based on the needs of the affected people, based on the needs of, as the picture shows, it shows clearly what the difference between equity and equality. Now, after seeing those different pictures, what are affected? From your own view on those pictures, you can see the hopes have been lost. People are affected. We lose people through death. Maybe they become inability to perform their daily duties. To those who are in businesses or who are employed in different areas, they lost their jobs and also their businesses goes down totally. Environmental losses also, because when an area is affected by flood or is affected by earthquake, the area cannot be the same the way it was. It will need to undertake a different process so that with a radical process so that they can go back, and that only take decades of time. Growth rate becomes low. Definitely, when the economical and human life is affected, then you can't expect any growth, be it in the terms of population, be it in terms of economic, be it in terms of promoting the environment. It cannot definitely go low. Now, the valuable properties are goods also will be affected. You can see the previous picture I was showing you, you can see their properties are affected totally. Now, after seeing this, I'll take you now to the main what we are going to cover today, because I wanted to give you a glimpse of what is required. What are we expecting? What are we expecting to go, as we shall be discussing about supply chain and logistics in humanitarian. So in a nutshell, humanitarian, we are talking about human lives during emergency seasons, And when this happens, we are supposed to be there for our colleagues. The area that we are going to cover today is about introduction. Then next one is about negotiation. Then the third one will be about strategic purchasing and supply management. The other one will be logistics management. Then we shall also discuss about public and international procurement. Second last will be adoption of technology to humanitarian sector. And then the last one, the emerging trend in the procurement and supply chain in handling humanitarian activities. These are the area we're going to cover. We shall try as much as possible to exhaust every required information. And in event we shall not be in a position, then as we progress with our institution, you can register with us so that you can join and gain a lot of information, because currently human life is essential and we can't give it, or we can't give away just because it's an emergency. Every life, as I said earlier, every life is valuable, and we must ensure that we secure at all costs, And now let's go to the definitions of different terms. Definition of terms. These are key terms that we're going to be using in this discussion. One of it is about procurement. What is procurement? This means acquisition by purchase, lease, hire purchase, or license, franchise, or by any other contractual means of any type of works, services, or goods in the business system. This as per the Public Procurement Asset and Disposal Act of 2015. Now, the second one is about supply chain management. Supply chain management is the design. And when you're talking about design, we are talking about coming up with specification, coming up with the customer requirements, coming up with, you have already done the research analysis of what does the customer need from you. Now after that, we talk about the management. We are talking about management, we are dwelling a lot on the 5 key functions of management. We are talking about planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling of flows of resources throughout the process to the end user, and ensure there is proper disposal. Remember, once you have already produced the products as per the need of end user, then you have already hit your target, because our ultimate task here is to ensure that the customer doesn't complain, doesn't reject. He is satisfied with the products or services we have offered to him. And also, that's not the end. Once you have already delivered the goods to the customer, now the disposal part of it. Remember, when you're talking about disposal, this is a key area of sustainability, caring about our environment. How shall we dispose the wastes? On supply chain, this includes sourcing resources. When you're talking about sourcing resources, we are talking about information from the end user. We are talking about the machines that will be used during the process. We are talking about the human personnel that will be involved in the process, and also money or funds that will be used to procure or to buy these machineries, pay human resource, and also the raw materials. Now, after having all these resources, sourcing all these resources, then undergo the process of transformation. Transformation, we use the machineries so that they can transform from raw materials into finished products. Now, after producing the finished product, we are supposed to distribute it. When you're talking about distribution, you're talking about transportation and also warehousing, keeping them in safer place. And then deliver it to the final consumer and disposal. Once you have already done that, you're supposed to deliver the goods to the final consumer. The supply chain starts and it ends with the customers. Take that in consideration, that the supply chain starts and it ends with the customer. Other scholars call it value chain. Other scholars call it value chain. Now, the third definition is about humanitarian supply chain. Is the process of planning, implementing. When we're talking about planning, this is about we put in consideration the budgeting part of it, the resources that will be required. Then do we have enough cash? Do we have the machineries? Do we have the information? Do we have the capacity? Now, after having all this, we can now put everything into action. Put everything into action means you work on. And then the last one is controlling. When we are in the right track, unfortunately, maybe we have gone astray, what action are we going to undertake? That's what we call controlling. The efficiency of distribution, in terms of distribution of goods and services, and related information, from point of origin to point of consumption, for the purpose to help relieve the emergency situations, so that we can relieve the emergency situations. An applicable approach is to consider humanitarian supply chain as a process to mobilize resources with the aim to help those affected. We should not react to it. We should, with getting this information, will help you to undertake the whole process without affecting the people who need our support. So I encourage that as we are gaining this information, we are purposing to undertake this course, which is very rich, because for information, supply chain and logistics is everything within the economy. Without it, we can't have economy and we can't survive. Now, we are done with the definition of the key areas. We are done with the definitions. We are also supposed to undertake what is the difference between supply chain and logistics. What is the difference between supply chain and logistics? Supply chain is the network of facilities that are chain, interlinked activities. And this facility, we talk about warehouses as a facility, factories as a facility, those terminal areas, ports, stores, and homes. All these are facilities. The movable activities are vehicles. We are talking about trucks, trains, planes, and ocean vessels. And logistics system is connected by enterprises and suppliers, supplies, and its customers. Means it's a chain of activities. Now, logistics is what happens in the supply chain. Remember, when we are talking about defining about supply chain, we are talking about facilities. And being a structure, then we must be having activity that will be happening within that structure. And these activities is what we call logistics. These we talk about customer inquiry, When customer is requesting for you to supply to him the goods and services he needs from your end, then that inquiry is an activity. Now, you will respond to it. You have to respond to it because you're in business or you want to save our life. You respond to it. Respond to it means you have already captured the right specifications so that you can produce goods as per the design or as per the customer need. The same case, we have inventory management activities that are happening within a store, within a warehouse, arranging, having those required aisles, having the required products in those shelves, in those supermarkets, in those warehouses, and then also have a continuous supply of the goods and services in those areas. And now another activity is the transportation, moving goods from one region to another region, moving these goods. And before you can move these goods, it incurs the process of packaging, labeling, and also ensuring that you come up with the best size as per which is accessible and easily deliverable. And the last one is housing. How are we going to keep in the store? How are we going to keep it in the warehouse? Maybe for those which are fragile, we must take great caution on it. For those which are perishable, we must ensure that we have air conditioning so that the cooling system, so that it doesn't lose its value, Connect and activate the objects in the supply chain. Now, in a nutshell, we can borrow in a sports analogy. For those who are good in sporting, logistics is the game played in the supply chain arena. Now, logistics is the activity that happens in the field. The field becomes the supply chain. That is a nutshell in it. So it means both activities are interlinked. Both activities are interlinked, and you have to apply both of them. That's why when you're talking about supply chain, we must involve logistics. In different areas, others may call it supply chain, involving also logistics. We have also different people may be calling it about logistics, which includes also supply chain. So they are interlinked. One may mean the other one, but the key functionalities are different, but they are closer related. Now, being the fact we have already gone through the different definitions of supply chain logistics in humanitarian sector, let us understand the historical revolution or evolution of purchasing. It was traced in 2800 BC. During this time, we had a wedge-shaped, which was used to write there as a system. It was a tablet that they were using to purchase orders. By then, few countries did purchasing in form of trade and textbooks because they were not having areas, or there were no traces or information where they can find the exact information on how to deal with purchasing. In 1914 to 1918, firms regarded purchasing function primarily as a clerical or other junior activities. At this level, it was not recognized. It was not recognized in any industry or in any area. Lewis of Harvard University published the first purchasing book in 1933 when he found out that actually this area has not been discussed, or he saw an opportunity and he decided to rubber stamp so that he can come up with a book which can guide society in terms of purchasing. Historically, since management interest has focused on research and development, marketing, finance, and operations, purchasing has frequently been subordinated to these functions. It's true. People have been tagging purchasing in form of research and development, marketing, and finance. not as a standalone. The next area is about the evolution. Once we have talked about the historical, you can see it was not recognized during.
Okay, as we wait for Andrew to reconnect, I still encourage you to keep on sharing your questions to the Q&A session for our facilitator to be able to answer them. And also a reminder, as Anthony had earlier said, let us refrain from sending our emails to the chat section. We already have your emails when you registered for the webinar session with us. And so we shall be sending the slides and the recording of the session after the session is done. So kindly let us not send our emails on the chat section. Kindly let us protect our own data. Thank you for that. I also encourage us to keep sending the questions to the Q&A. And for those of us who are joining us a bit late, welcome. And thank you for joining us for this procurement session this afternoon. I can only see 2 questions. Let us continue sending in the questions, and also continue to share the link for the webinar today to your friends and colleagues out there who are going to benefit for this session.
Procurement and supply chain management processes play an important role in any given organization by helping in maximization of profits. This is attained through cost reduction, enhancement of supply quality, assurance of supply, and increased unlocking of suppliers' innovation. This leads to development of strong competitive advantages which are critical in giving a business success in today's competitive markets. To achieve this, more professionals need to be trained to develop critical skills. By undertaking this course prepared by Humanitarian Global, you will develop important skills which are important in your career progression in procurement and supply chain management. Among the covered modules and topics include Introduction to Purchasing and Supply Chain Management. In the first module, you will get to learn more about the environment of purchasing and supply chain management, importance of purchasing, terms and concepts of purchasing and supply chain management, and the 4 enablers of purchasing supply. Secondly, Principles of Negotiations. In this module will help the learner develop in-depth knowledge and skills in areas such as Introduction to Principles of Negotiations, Types of Negotiation, Factors in Negotiation and Negotiations Ethics. Thirdly, Supply Chain Management. In the final module, you will get to learn more about supply chains, types of supply chains, supply chain management, and other aspects of supply chain management. Apply for this course today by visiting our website www.humanitarianglobal.com for more details.
Okay, great. So just a quick take through on how to register for the Humanitarian Global Community Forum. This is to our participants as we take this short break, and then we go back to the presentation. I would like to urge you that I go to Humanitarian Global website. So that is humanitarianglobal.com. And then there is a new tab that we have introduced there for HG community. So this is a community that is going to help you link up with other professionals, and it's not only limited to procurement. So you can also be part of other groups such as WASH, monitoring and evaluation, and so on. So once you click on that link, it's going to request you to register. So it's going to be an easy step where you need to put your email address, your name, your full name, and then your username, and then a password. Once your account has been set up, you can log in, and after you log in, this is what you're going to see. So if you click on the menu here, you're going to see that we have the meal forum, the WASH forum, and then you can try and locate the procurement forum. So once you do that, the first topic would be for you to introduce yourself, so new members. So what you're supposed to do, click on that topic, and then once you come to these first message that you get here, you just have to let us know who you are and maybe which organization that you're working for, and from which country are you connecting to the forum from. So that is going to be quick because you can click on that button and then you just introduce yourself in a brief way. So that would ensure that we can all get to even know each other. We can have that interactions. And then with the forum, you can even create a topic of discussion. So like today, we are going to throw in some questions there based on the session so that you can come and contribute. So even yourself, you can create a topic of discussion where you can post your question there, choose a category that you want to dedicate the question to, and then based on all that, you're going to type your question there. Once your topic has been created, all the group members, they get an alert, and then we can respond, and also our facilitators can respond to your inquiries. So with that much said, I think I would like to invite you, Eric, and then maybe you take us back to Andrew so that we can continue.
Thank you, Anthony, for that. And it seems Andrew is still trying to connect back. So I think at this particular moment, you can maybe give a few of our participants a chance to talk. And for you to do that, what you can simply do is raise your hand, and I will be able to see your hand up and give you an opportunity to unmute your microphone and speak. So we are going to give a few of participants a chance. I think I can see.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Eric, and I think also as we do that, we also have the full humanitarian global team in-house in terms of attending the session. So besides Andrew, we also have one of our facilitators in the same field again. So that is Susan. So maybe we can try to also give her a chance to introduce herself, and then we can be able to respond to some of the inquiries.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, so Susan, are you there with us?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Thank you so much, Anthony and Eric. My name is Susan Diritu. It's a pleasure to be here. Great job to Andrew, who will be back soon. And nice to see all of you. Sorry,
okay.
I got lost for a second.
Okay,
yeah,
now we can hear you.
Oh, yes, keep sending in your questions. We will respond to them as they come in. Thank you.
Oh, okay, great, and thank you so much. So I think now for our participants, we can also give you a chance. We had asked your question, what do you think is the role of procurement and supply chain management when it comes to humanitarian logistics? So maybe that is what we want to focus on. And we have Susan also who is going to help us in that regard. So just Eric, back to you. Maybe we can try to give our participants some airtime for them to ask some questions as we proceed.
Yeah, I think that's okay. And there's one hand up.
Okay.
Abdirahman Elmi. Elmi Osman, are you there with us? Elmi Osman, are you there with us? Maybe as we wait for Elmi Osman, you can anybody else? I can see Mohammed Salad. Salad, are you there with us?
Hello, yeah, Eric, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Salad.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum, all of you.
Salam.
So thank you very much for the first. I would like just to thank the Global Humanitarian. Usually it's offers a lot of the beneficial lectures. Suppose when I just turn on my observation regarding to the procurement and the logistic and procurement and supply chain and logistic. So really it's very important in this field because of the role of maybe you're asking us a question regarding to the role of the procurement supply chain and logistics. In my opinion, or as it is as officially, it's the three dimensions that go hand in hand and obviously have interlinked to each other based on the resources in terms of the information, in terms of the human resource. So far, I believe that extremely and is important to us for having appropriate procurement and supply chain and logistic that that facilitate us or the delivery from the start point to the end point. That is my comment. Thank you very much. It's over to you.
Thank you for that, Mohammed. That's a lot. Anthony, maybe one more person. I can see.
Yeah, sure. And Mohammed has put across a very good point, and we totally agree with you. And I'm happy because we're going to be tackling and trying to work with you and all of us here to share knowledge amongst ourselves so that we can see how best we can align ourselves as procurement and supply chain specialist, management specialist in this field so that we can impact on more lives. So thank you much, Salad. And maybe we can have like 2 participants before we go back to the session.
I can see a near mini thought.
Yeah, sure. Just Nir, maybe you may proceed.
Nir, are you there with us? You may unmute your microphone.
Yeah, okay. Right, sure. I would like to say thank you for everyone for joining today and Humanitarian Global Team for the nice sessions for today. I would like to just give one question and give it through to our sister Anna, Susan. In a procurement is like about the service for service contracting, and then in certain areas we have term and condition that are like put in place, and it varies from certain contract to contract. I'd like to give example on a construction contract. In this situation, the contract might be from the requester or the service requester, in which whereby the owner of or the organization request the supplier only to do the works, where the organization is responsible for providing the materials and everything for the work. In a certain situation, they have a duration of period where they require to do the work in certain period. Assume it's 2 months, 3 months, and in the middle, the organization failed to supply some of the material to do the work. In which, in this situation, it will extend the duration of the contract. If this situation is in the regard of period agreed, it will go as a fall of the service requester, or will be then the fall of the supplier doing the job. It's like it requires a certain amendment in between, and I'm requesting also to give a clarity on this situation. This is the first question. You're getting me right?
Yes, we can hear you, Nir. You may proceed. We are taking notes.
Oh, okay, this is the first question. So you can put it down, and then let's see how you go about it. The other one is about sourcings. In certain dynamics, supply, they are eager to find a contract or to get offer, and in certain situation after long run, maybe they will inform you later, no, I was not able to find this thing because I didn't get more supplies, and there were a lot of delay. This will require you to go back and again and review the sourcing or get the nearest supplier to supplies from your order. Yeah. And sometimes also it brings a lot of bad connection or relationship between the supplier and the organizations. And in a certain situation, it's like how do most of you go about this in different locations? We have been facing this thing because of lack of proper supplies in certain area, because of slow transport from different borders to the location we are in recently now. This is the second question. If someone had the same scenario somewhere, and how did they tackle this situation also? I'd like to say thank you from here, and unless if someone has something for me.
Thank you for that, Nir. We have noted down your questions. Andrew, are you there with us?
Yes, good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon.
Sorry for that inconvenience. I'm back now, we can proceed. Now we were at this level talking about the situation at places in the world where humanitarian aid is mostly required. And we were talking about the challenges that normally happens. We were talking about the earthquake, the hunger, landslides, floods, drought, and from the analysis, almost every country has been affected. Mostly was the Haiti, If you know the story about Haiti, this is a country that was really affected by the earthquake, and it affected almost 1.5 people in that area. Hope you can see the screen now.
We cannot see it as of now.
You cannot see it?
Yeah, we cannot now.
Is it visible now?
Yes, I can see it.
Good. Now, we were talking about the situations, and I was giving you an example of Haiti. It was affected through earthquake, and 1.5 million were directly affected. Another country that we know and is currently happening is about Ukraine. You can see what's happening between Ukraine and Russia, the political effects within the two countries. The other one is about, we talk about the country like Liberia and Sierra Leone, which are trying to come back to their normal fit. Not forgetting about Somali, and also the other one was about Sudan. Even Rwanda currently with the DRC Congo, you can see what's happening currently. All these, when such activity happens, it needs an intervention of human being. And we are talking that this, from the analysis, the 80% of activities in humanitarian are logistics related. Because remember, we want to secure our life. And how do we secure our life? Securing our life, it means we're supposed to provide the basic requirements, the basic needs. Which are these basic needs? It includes food, shelter, clothing, so that actually they can be in a position to survive during such calamities. So 80% of activities are related to logistics. And for your information, the only coverage that we normally cover is only 25%. We only cover 25%. This means there's still demand. There's still demand for our people, and most of our people are affected. How do we manage this scenario? That's why we are coming up with humanitarian support. That's why we want to involve everyone to be informed so that we can engage in this activity and fill that 75%. Because from your own understanding, 25% is a very small number. Is a very small number. And once we get information, then we shall be there for our friends and colleagues and neighbors. Now, back to the track, the principle of humanitarian supply chain. What are these principles of humanitarian supply chain? One of it is about humanity. We should seek to address human suffering wherever it is found, paying particular attention to those who are most vulnerable. We all have a right to a life with dignity, a valuable life, life without any disgrace. We need that human support. The second principle is impartiality. Our responses should solely be the basis of identified needs without discrimination to the affected population. Yes, our shelters have been affected. How do we intervene? The first rescue is how to come up and make sure that we prepare for our affected people the shelters so that they can be in a position to feel the way they have been initially. Neutrality. It has close relation with impartiality. Neutrality, we should ensure that our responses don't favor any side in a conflict or engage at any time in any political, racial, religious, or ideological controversies. They are closely related with impartiality, that we are supposed to give support without negating our colleagues in any way because of religious, maybe ideology or political sides. The fourth one, independence. The sole of suffering caused by crisis. Caused by crisis. Sorry. Caused by crisis. And now independence, we give that support without looking aside. The last one is about accountability and transparency. Be open and clear on all the activities. Because remember, in the first PowerPoint, we were talking about who is the customer. Who is the customer in this circumstance? Is it the final consumer? Is it our people who are affected, or are the donors? Challenges to humanitarian supply chain. What are these challenges? One of the challenges is a high uncertainty in demand. Right now, as we are hosting this service right now, we don't know what may happen in 2 minutes ahead of us. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. So it becomes hard for us to plan for it. Meaning the activity or the occasion or the scenario happens without our knowledge. Now it forces us to respond to it with immediate effect. That's why we are saying that high uncertainty in demand. In terms of uncertainty, we can't know what will happen. Can you confirm whether I'm audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you. The second one is high uncertainty in timing. You never know what will happen again. You never know what will happen, under what duration, and how long will it take. Just like what's happening right now in Ukraine, when it started, we thought maybe it may take 1 day, 2 days, but it's almost taking a half a year. And our people are suffering. We need to rescue. We need to intervene. We need to join the team so that they can go back to their daily activities. Another challenge is that high uncertainty in terms of location. We don't know what will happen and where. We don't know what will happen and where. There's also, this is a calamity that doesn't give notice on location that it will happen. Be it an earthquake, be it the floods, be it the hunger, be it the drought. Another challenge is high uncertainty and challenges in supply. We don't know it. Now we can't quantify it on how much or what quantity will be required for supply. The other one, collaboration among the multiple players and nation makers is also uncertain. We don't know who will intervene and who will join hands together to help us move away from this uncertainty, from this challenge. Is also unpredictable, totally. The other one, the impact of the political, cultural, and socio-economic conditions of the region. That these challenges, in most circumstances, comes from the political, cultural, or socio-economical. These are sometimes the calamities that are beyond our control. The other one is about the strong dependency of the last mile operations on the location and disaster severity. As we are planning to secure the life of our colleagues, we maybe have that high zeal to support them. but we don't know what may happen again. Limited telecommunications and information infrastructure. When such happens, sometimes the information cannot be delivered on time. Our people may be suffering and we are not aware. And now this also makes a call that the kind of information we need and at what time are we supposed to be getting this information? And then the last one is about the success of humanitarian operations is hard to measure. How do you say that you have succeeded? How do you come up with a decision that you've succeeded? It's also still uncertain, because unless this person goes back to his knees as he was there, which may take some time, is hard to measure. Now, after talking about those challenges, we can go on the role of third party in humanitarian logistics. The role of third party. How logisticians are going to intervene in this process. And we shall discuss about Michael Porter's value model, which talks about inbound logistics. And on this inbound logistics, we are talking about having required resources. And which are these resources? We are talking of manpower in terms of human resource. We are talking about the information that will be required for the purpose of this activity. And another one, we are talking about the raw materials. We are talking about the raw materials. The raw materials that will be used in this process. And the last one is about funds. Funds as a rider that will be used to buy all other resources. Now, after buying all the resources, then we can now undertake the process of operations, the conversions. We convert raw materials to end products. These end products, once we produce them, we are supposed to keep them somewhere in warehouses. We are supposed to incur the process of warehousing and transportation. Once we are done with that, then we are supposed to transfer these items or these goods to the market for sales. And for this purpose, we need to secure our people. Let our people get the services on time without any delay. And as we are doing this, we have the supportive activities. We are talking about the farm infrastructures. These are the machineries. We are talking about the human resource, the technology in form of information, and now the procurement itself, how we're going to procure these goods. So we have both primary and secondary activities that are dealt within the third-party process. After talking about the third-party logisticians, we talk about modes of transportation. And we have different modes of transportation. One of it is road transport. The second one is rail transport. The third one is about air transport, aeroplanes. We talk about the water transport, and the last one is the pipeline. All these are means of transport that in one way or the other, during the flooding season, then the base we are supposed to look in a way, either to airlift it or to use to transport the items through what? Through that water. And unless we have a system that is well structured, then we can also use the pipeline, which may be the best. But now, depending on the kind of calamity, it will be affected in one way or the other. After talking about transports, let's talk about the components of supply chain management. Because it will be a harm if we cannot talk about what entails, what holds supply chain management. One of it is about planning. The plan, checking the demand, viability, costing, and manpower is very, very important. Once on this, it will help you to come up with a budget. Is it affordable? Are you in a position to offer this service. Then the second one is about information. We as humanitarian team, we are supposed to have information, and not just information, but right information. So that as we come up, or as we purpose to come up or to produce a product, let us produce with specification that means the customer or our affected people requirements. The other one is about source. Services to end user should be created to meet set resources. That the source, as we were defining the supply chains and everything we are talking about, it starts with the end user and it ends with the end user. On this circumstance, that we are supposed to come up with services to end user which meets his needs. The other one is about inventory warehousing. For a highly effective system, it is essential to have optimum storage. Let us have enough in our storage, just in case anything happens, then we are prepared, we can respond to it. And also the other one is about production, the transformation. It's essential to ensure there is continuous throughput the chain. The conversion of goods, of raw materials into goods should be continuous. Or if not continuous, it should be ready to kickstart just in case we need any support from production. Then the other one is about location. We are supposed to locate or have our facilities in a secure place that cannot be affected in one way or the other. Second last is about transportation, the movement of goods from one place to another. This one will help to transfer our colleagues from one place to another, or deliver the goods to the destination that's required. The last one were not enough or were not as per the specification. What action are we going to undertake? What action are we going to undertake in terms of returns? Can we make a return and bring back the required items? Maybe it's rejected, and in event we have a surplus in the store, or we have surplus in the area of calamity, we are supposed to keep or return so that it doesn't go to waste. That's all about components. Now, let's talk about objectives of supply chain management. Objectives of supply chain management. As we are doing all this, what are we considering? I'll give a quote. Just because our people are suffering does not mean we will feed them poison. This is Frederick, former president of Zambia. Just because we are beggars doesn't mean that they are supposed to feed us on anything. This, in quote, it says, in a nutshell, means that however much our people are affected, but they deserve their rights. They deserve their rights. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. And to expound on that quote, we are going to discuss about the key objectives of supply chain management. One of it is right quality. And when we are talking about right quality, we are talking about the required specification, that we derive the required specification from the end user, then we can design it, then supply to our people. By the end of the day, they'll be satisfied. They'll value the service offered to them. The second one is about right resource. that the goods that we are going to offer should become from a reliable supplier. And when you're talking about a reliable supplier, this is a supplier who can produce what we need as per the specification. This is a supplier who can produce what we need as per the specifications that we gave. And besides what we need, does he have the capacity and capability to perform this duty? This is what we call about having the right source. The third one is about right quantity. We are supposed to secure or provide food for 10,000 people. Do we have enough for the 10,000 people? Or we are going to provide only for 6,000 people? The right quantity. Let us supply the required demands of our people. The fourth one is about right price. Regardless of what circumstance, we are not supposed to hike the cost of goods because our people are affected or because we are taking advantage of the scene or the scenario that's happening by that time. Let us not cost goods at a higher price. Let's be very fair to our people so that they can afford it. Remember, we shall be relying on donors, private sectors, and governments. So why should we cause more harm to our people? The other one is about right place, that these goods should be delivered at the place which is required, at the place where our people are suffering, where they need it. This one will save in terms of delays, in terms of affecting our people in one or the other, in terms of human being. The other one is about the right product. Consumers purchase based on needs rather than catalog. That we are purchasing as per the need, not on what is in the booklet. What is required right now? What's required right now is our people doesn't have clothing. So we are supposed to provide them with the clothes, right clothing as per the age, the size, and the rest. The last one and not least is about time. In terms of uncertainties, we are talking about uncertain time. So this, when such an activity is happening, we should be on toes or we should be standby so that we can provide or we can deliver these goods without. After discussing about those objectives, which is in line with the quote of our leader, former President Frederick, let us consider the 7 rights whenever we are helping our people. Why study supply chain management? Why study supply chain management? One of it is to maximize overall value generated, is to maximize the value generated to our people. Then 2 is support operational requirements, that we are supposed to fill that gap. We are supposed to secure our people. We are supposed to save our people from the floodings. And how do we do this? Through the supply of the required items. The other one is manage the supply base efficiently and effectively. Let us respond to this action on time at a cost-effective prices. Let us not escalate it. And this, how do we do this? Through enough feasibility analysis that we engage in research and development, being at the glimpse of what is happening in the market. The other one is about develop strong relationships in stream. Let us have that support through both up and downstream. That interlinking, that partnership, that good relationships, let be there so that we can be in a position to offer support as and when required. Support organization goals and objectives. Let it be within the line with our mission and vision and goals, so that by the end of the day, we meet or fulfill the requirement as per our culture. Continuous quality improvement. Whatever that happened 10 years ago should not happen right now. We are supposed to be adjusting, improving. And in such a case, we shall be producing value to our people. Let us not waste time. Let us act within shortest time possible, lead time, between ordering and receiving. To reduce distribution costs, we can reduce, also supply chain helps to reduce distribution costs by spreading this cost along the chain. And the other one is to optimize pre and post production inventory. Let us have a pre-plan so that in such a circumstance, we don't delay during the production, and this enhances the continuous flow of activity within the supply chain industry. The other is promote efficiency and effectiveness on performance, KPI. It can help to measure how we are progressing in terms of service delivery. And the other one is increase the productivity. Let us have enough buffer, the optimum service that's required to our people. The other one is about reduce overall operation costs. That those overheads, how can we reduce them? Through adopting the supply chain management. We are talking about mitigation. Mitigation means let us not be found in a scenario that our people need support and we have nothing in the store. So supply chain will help to mitigate this by being prepared, having or responding to what is required within the shortest time. And in such a circumstance, then we shall be recovering or helping our people to heal well. And the last one, which is not least, reduce environmental risks. Also, supply chain in terms of sustainability works hand in hand with environmental support. And in such a circumstance, we are talking that we should do every activity that doesn't affect environment at all costs. Doesn't affect environment at all costs. That's all about why we should study supply chain. Now, another area that we are going to cover is about negotiation. It's about negotiation. Negotiation. And what is negotiation? Creating order out of chaos. Making an agreement out of chaos. Making an agreement out of uncertainty, out of strangers. That's in a nutshell what negotiation is. This is the process of whereby two or more parties decide what each will give and take in the exchange between them. Negotiation can also be defined as any form of verbal communication in which the participants seek to exploit their relative competitive advantages and needs to achieve explicit objectives within the overall purpose of seeking to resolve problems which are barriers to agreement. Remember, when we're talking about negotiation, is trying to give and take, remove the barriers depending with the kind of agreement you have, which is stipulated in the policies of the organization through the goals and objectives. Then you can give and take. And in such a circumstance, after making a definition, it gives us another level of why should we negotiate? Why engage in negotiation? Why should we engage our team? One, so that during any action, we can sustain the support we are going to offer or get from them. Two, that we can get the best deal in terms of costing or relationship. The other one, achieve the organization's goal, that our mission is to partner together with such and such a company, so that during uncertainties, then we as donors, we are going to procure or order those goods and they will deliver to us without any difficulties. The other one is about get long-term relationship between the parties. Remember, being in an industry whereby you have your partners to work, or those who have worked with more than 5-10 years, this is a relationship that you can't give it away. And that's a good negotiation that you can pursue. The other one is to extend control over the manner in which the contract is performed. Also, to avoid the errors and omissions, then it is good to have a prior discussion before you can engage in such an activity. The other one is to persuade the supplier to give maximum cooperation to the buyer's company. Remember, we are in construction because negotiation engages contracts. Let the supplier give maximum support to your business or your activities. Then the other one is to develop a sound and continuing relationship with competent suppliers. Let us have that continuous improvement. Let us have those suppliers who have good brands within the market. And as they have good brands in the market, they're going to uplift our services too. The other one is about to obtain a fair and reasonable price. Let us have those prices that are affordable, that we are in a position to buy. Also, to get the supplier to perform the contract on time. Time is of a great essence, and this time saves a lot, both life and resources. Now, being the fact we have understood what negotiation is and what it takes for negotiation, then we are supposed to undertake. Now, what are we supposed to have so that we can have that bargaining power during negotiation? One of it is about when we are buyer, then we shall have that strength. When the suppliers are many, in the market, then it will give us a plus to negotiate. It will give us a plus to negotiate. Or when there are alternative solutions, in event one supplier AB may fail to supply us these goods, where can we get this information again? We can apply best alternative to negotiated agreement. The best foregone. Cash payment. If you're going to make those cash, if we have enough funds to pay, then it also gives us a platform or a bargaining power so that we can negotiate with the supplier to give us at the right price. When you are prepared or have done good research, remember, before you go to the market, it's always good to have a background check. How much is the prevailing market? And the last one, when the need is not urgent. But remember, our case mostly is about urgency. Now is a high time to come up with measures on how to gap this. Continuation, when the supplier bargaining strength, in the case of a monopolistic situations, when the need is urgent and when the quantity needed is large. And the last one, when the product to be supplied is unique. And in such a circumstance means there are only one supplier who can manage. Now, having laid out the ground, we only have two negotiation approaches. One is about adversarial. This adversarial is about win-lose, that we have to win. We have to win and they have to lose. And the second one is about partnership. This one is about we care about our colleague. We are all in. We have to win, all of us. Either of the two, it will depend which one you're going to advocate for. And this will be guided with the principles in terms of the corporate. What do you believe in? What does the structure or what does the organization policy talk about? Is there an avenue in terms of integrating or distributing with the other team players? If yes, then for integration, it will go win-win. And for lose win, we have to win. And what will make us to lose? One is we have to sacrifice. 2, submissive. 3, surrender. And the other one is denial. And what will make us to win? We are going to apply the threats. We are going to apply the coercion. We are going to apply whichever means so that we win. So that we win. The other level, after talking about the approaches, we can discuss about the tactics we are going to employ. The tactics, we have several of them. We have the bogey, have minimum order ploy, we have over and under, then you have quivering quail, shock opening, high ball, low ball. You can decide to break, give it a recess, or you can also proceed. If I can engage my boss, are you in a position to reduce the prices? If he says yes, then that gives you a room, a platform for that. That's what we call trial balloon price increase. That probably this product, if you don't buy it today, tomorrow the price will increase. Such a case, it will force this person to the venue can decide the ultimate outcome. And when you're talking about venue, when you invite the person at your place, you have a plus because you have all the powers within your environment. Then the other one is about plan concession. You can plan it in advance. Then phases of negotiation. Phases of negotiation, there are 3 key. Pre-negotiation, this is where you do the background check and find out who and what to be negotiated. Then the other is determination of venue. Determination of venue. And in such a circumstance, you are supposed to watch out, be tactical, understand what will be required. In short, we are saying we are talking about do enough background check so that when you go to actual negotiation, you have all that it takes. You understand where you're going to start and where you're supposed to finish. Then the last one, after negotiation, let us go contractual. And in the same case, always make sure the standard operating performance has been captured. Because of time, my opening remark, I said I may not be in a position to cover everything, but I'll try my best to cover what's required. Unfortunately, the time is not our side. I'll request that you stop there, though we still have more to discuss in this area. This is an area which is very rich and has not been totally exhausted. And that's why we are coming up with this curriculum so that we can ensure that our people are involved in terms of registering and are equipped with the required information. And which is the required information that we can go step by step as we understand, we share information in terms of sharing the education or the syllabus where and when it's required so that we can save the life of our people. Remember, as we have been going through, we are talking about the life of our people and also we are talking about their valuables. Their valuables, no one feels good when his or her colleague is suffering in one way or the other. Let us not make our people suffer. Let us be there for them. Let them feel they are valued under all circumstances. And as I summarize this, kindly let's summarize with this, the main takeaways, the rule of thumb. Let us care for our colleagues. Researchers are widely dwelling what is happening in the field. Researchers are dealing with that in the field. Let us have this information on time so that we can act. And the other one, most of the analysts still rely on the theoretical and are far from implementation. Let us have both theoretical and hands-on activity. Let us be in a position to implement. The other one, let us partner and collaborate so that we can come up with the best decisions. Second last, educate the users. Let us be informed. Let us be informed. The last one, uniqueness, that every situation is unique. In a nutshell, let us be informed and be informed and be informed through enrolling to our academia, to our institution, so that this knowledge can reach to everyone. Thank you so much. Back to you, Eric.
Thank you, Andrew, for taking us through the session. And yeah, we've learned a lot. Anthony, are you there with us?
Yes, I'm here, Eric.
I think I know the time is not on our side, but can we take a few questions?
Yeah, sure. I think, Eric, what maybe we can do for now, Eric, Andrew may go through the Q&A section. I can see we have like 9 questions there. We can try to handle that first. But before we give him a breather, maybe we can welcome back Susan, who is supposed to respond to Nir's question. And then after that, we can go back to the Q&A section. Is that okay, Eric?
Yes, that's okay.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Eric and Anthony, and thank you, Andrew. Great presentation. Nir, just getting back to your question. I think the first question was on extended timeline in procurement. What do we do? I think my answer there is procurement is a lot of negotiation, and you should be able to monitor the process, because by the time the 3 months erupt, you're able to see that this supplier is able to extend the time, and you're able to have this conversation as the time goes. So having constant check-ins with the supplier and saying you are supposed to do this scope of work in 3 months, we are already at month 1, you have not covered a third of the work, other mitigation plans into it. So as professionals, the more time we have conversations with our suppliers and understand and communicate that what is the mitigation plan that you have to be able to conclude this work in a given time. The next question was when a supplier says that they cannot supply when they had already accepted the contract and say they will supply, but then they say there is no that product in the market. I think my response is that shows a gap in the process, because if we were able to go through the whole procurement process, which involves finding quotations, understanding whether the product is in the market, and also contracting, then this supplier is not, they're not supposed to back out from the process and say that they're not able to deliver, because already they would have done their survey in the market and know whether that product is there or it is not. Saying that, maybe we need to do a lot of work in our process. And then now that it has happened, I think the solution is going back on the drawing table with the supplier and yourself as the procuring person, and letting them understand the impact, because it's going to take a lot of time. It's costly to start the whole sourcing process, and then you find a middle ground on what is their take on what are they accounting for in this process, so that you as the procurement person does not have to incur a lot of finances. If that hits the rock that you cannot get into the agreeing table, yeah, maybe the solution is still going back and starting the procurement process afresh, but then being very strict on the process, on signing all the documents required and doing all the necessary paperwork that is required. Let me know if I have answered all the questions as you expected.
Nir, are you there with us? Mir, are you there with us?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
thank
Eric,
you.
I think I think Anir maybe is having a challenge, but we've been able to give the answer, and
Yes.
we have his microphone open, so maybe once he gets to come back, he can be able to comment on that. So maybe now we can go to the Q&A.
Yes, I think we can head over to the Q&A. Andrew, are you there with us?
Yes, I am.
Over to the Q&A, we have a few questions from our participants. Are you able to see the questions? Maybe I can read for you a few of the questions.
Kindly proceed.
Yeah, we have a question from Youth Me Kanote, and it says how to proceed to supply food in an area where accessibility is uncertain.
Come again.
How to proceed to supply food in an area where accessibility is uncertain.
Thank you. We are talking about location. We are talking about, we are not in a position to access such an area. And this is why we are talking about different modes of transport. And we talked about 5 different modes of transport. We have road transport, we have air transport, we have pipeline, and also we have rail transport. For this area, depending on what circumstances affecting, we can apply either mode of transport. If at all the area is affected by flooding, then we can use the air transport to airlift the goods so that they can reach to our people. Even with the current technology, we can use drone to transfer the food to our people. So whether it is not accessible, I'm assuming maybe through flooding or the earthquake has affected the area, so we cannot apply either road or rail or pipeline. And in such a circumstance, I know what else will be affected. So in such a circumstance, we can apply the air, or if we're in a position we have that advance, we can use the drone so that we can access the area and save a life. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And also the same person is part B of the questions is what are the challenges in supply chain management and how to approach them?
Good. First part we have already discussed, and we are talking about challenges in relation to humanitarian, supply chain in humanitarian. And in the same case, we talked about one is about uncertainty. Oh, everything is uncertain. Everything is uncertain. Uncertain in demand, uncertain. Part B, I'll answer, though I answered it indirectly during our discussion, but I'll answer it directly right now. One, we are supposed to have enough, the optimum goods in our store. We are just standby, just in case of anything, we can respond and save a life to our people. In such a circumstance, we talk about preparedness. How prepared are we? And this is why we are talking about supply chain is not a reactive process, it's a process. We are supposed to have a pre-planning activity that we are standby wherever we are in event. Anything happens, then we can seal it within the shortest time possible. How do we do it? We do it by engaging different suppliers, and our suppliers are supposed to understand the type of business we are doing, or they are supposed to understand the kind of activity we are working on, that in event we request them to supply us goods, they are supposed to take the shortest time possible in terms of lead time. Such a circumstance, we can prevent delays. Preventing delays, it means we are helping the society. The other one is about, we talk the adoption of the current technology, especially the agility. How in terms of being flexible and responding to anything that happens on time, and being the fact that actually this is an emergency, we are not buying any time at any given time. So we are supposed to apply the agility part of it, react or act within the shortest time possible, being flexible and responsive to it. Eric?
Yes, I'm here. And thank you for that. I have another question from Mecca. And
Yes.
Mecca is asking, how much should procurement be honest and transparent in the humanitarian interventions? And what limitations are observed in the procurement process?
We are talking of how much and what limitations. How much is optimum? Enough that we're going to sustain our people in the event of anything that happens. Having enough in our storage, having enough in our transit, having enough in a different locations, especially the basic requirements. Because once we do enough research analysis, then we can borrow from one case to the other, however much they are unique, but we understand what will happen. Now we can have enough in our storage facilities. Now we are talking about the second part of it, we're talking about the limitation. The limitation may be human in terms of political, maybe we have the issue of races. 2 is about accessing location, you may not access the location. 3, lacking the facilities to transfer these items to the affected people. And the last one, lack of information. And that's why we are coming up with this sector, so that people can fully engage to fill those gaps. Eric?
Thank you for that. I have another question from Yu Bule, and he asks, how do you negotiate? Can we re-advertise the tender again?
How do we negotiate?
Yes, how do we negotiate, and can we re-advertise maybe if it's a tender, or how do we do it? That's his question.
Yes, those are 2 questions. I'll try to answer them on separate occasions. 1, negotiation. How do you negotiate? It will depend. 1, the principle, it will depend with the policies and procedure of the company, and this under the top level. What are we supposed? Do we have the room for negotiating? Are we going to buy the idea? Are we going to partner? Will it be adversarial or it will be partnership? That one will be the first principle. The second one, you can now understand in terms of give and take. What are we supposed to give and what are we supposed to take? Then from there now, it will derive you on tactical part of it. It will guide you on tactical part of it. I've answered that part. Let me go in terms of re-advertising the tender. We have different process of tenders. We have open, I'm assuming this is an open tender process. And for your information, in the sector we are right now, there are almost 10 types of tender, which I have not discussed because of time. We have open tender, we have direct tendering, we have request for quotation, all those. Now, for this case, your question is based on open tendering. After going the whole process, you are under evaluation, you have already got maybe 2 people, or the person you got doesn't meet the requirements in terms of funds. Do you renegotiate or do you reapply? For this case, it will depend. If at all the case is not emergency, you can decide to renegotiate again. And if at all you still have enough time, you can proceed. You can proceed to do what? To re-advertise. Remember, the disclaimer is about time. If you don't have time, my friend, I'm bringing you back to the determining bargaining strength. If the buyer, if you only have one supply in the market, my friend, you'll have to pull up in terms of financial so that you can meet, because you are very desperate. And when you are desperate, there's only one supplier, then you have to go for it. And if at all you still have, we have so many suppliers in the market, then you can decide to apply best alternative to negotiated agreement. And in the same time, if you have enough cash, then you can still proceed. Yes, Eric?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for that. Another question from Kanz Miller, and he's asking, in the humanitarian situation, should a supply chain manager focus on quantity or quality?
Come again.
In humanitarian situations, should a supply chain manager focus on quantity or quality?
Both. We should consider both, because remember, when you're talking, those are two different objectives. We are talking about, when you're talking about quality, is about specifications. When you're talking about quantity, is about how many was ordered and did we supply. In event of either, specifically, maybe what comes first? What comes first is about the meeting the specifications, agreeing in terms of what the end user needs. Once you meet what the end user needs, now you can still advise or negotiate that I'm not in a position to supply all of them at once, but I'm promising to supply a half, and then the remaining I'll not delay in terms of lead time. I'll supply within 1 or 2 days. So what comes first is the quality. Then it follows the quantity. The quantity you can spread it over depending on the agreement. Eric?
Yes, thank you for that. I can take another question here by Asikiti Isaac. Let me read it out. Logistic procurement and supply chain is one of the most abused sector and department infested with corruption, both in the private and public sectors at all levels. Worst of all, the office bearers and the professionals are involved, and the effect is so much on the end user and vulnerable beneficiaries, e.g. the refugees. How can this be realistic? How can this realistically be minimized?
Thank you. That's a wonderful question. In supply chain and logistics, we are talking about the issue of abusing the end user. And remember, we are abusing a vulnerable user, someone who is under our mercy, and we are still abusing. Now, in supply chain and logistics, we have a principle, the ethics, the code of conduct, the integrity of the professionals. So for us to control whatever that's happening in different sectors, we are supposed to embrace integrity, the ethics in terms of code of conduct. Let us become professionals that do what is right and at the right time, at the right place, and what's required. In a nutshell, what I'm saying is about, let us be professional. Let us promote the impartiality without any biasness, and let us be accountable in terms of performance, pricing, and also the accountability. Let us be open and follow the procedures of what is required. And in a nutshell, being professional means you love your profession and you may not like to dilute it. To come such scenarios, we have different bodies within internationally and locally that you register so that they are going to monitor. We have rules and regulations They are going to guide you on what's right and what's wrong. And the principle remains, let us be professional. And how do we become professional? By being informed what's required and where, and how to balance all the needs of our people. Remember, we say that 80% of services comes from logistics industry. Now, putting more harm to the vulnerable people is totally wrong. That's not a professional. A professional deserves to do the right at all costs. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And at this moment, I want us to allow a few of our participants to unmute their microphones and ask a question. I don't know. Anthony, are you there with us?
Yes, I'm here, Eric, and I can see the first participant to go is Kamara. That is Blaise Kamara.
Blaise Kamara, are you there with us? You may unmute your microphone and proceed to ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, Blaise.
Yes, this is Blaise. How are you?
I'm very fine. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, you are loud and audible.
Yes, yes. Much for organizing this webinar. I really give thanks to the facilitators and the participants in the house. Mine is just like a comment, not necessarily a question, but also to give an insight or think broader. When you look at procurement, in my own view, this is actually the center of accountability. When in the first slide, I saw something about the humanitarian principle. When you why go on the core humanitarian standards, looking at commitment 1 and commitment 2, that is a humanitarian response is appropriate and relevant. When you look at that, mostly focusing on beneficiaries receiving appropriate and relevant assistance as per their need. So when we talk about need, what comes in our mind? You cannot determine somebody's need without doing an assessment. And that's why we who are in monitoring and evaluation work also, our work helps those even in procurement do their planning. So accountability is very, very important. Looking at example, if you construct, for example, a classroom, if things don't go well, you'll find along the way the work is done, but the roof is leaking, and the structure cannot be put in the right use. So that means somewhere maybe the money is embezzled, or the right contractor was not given the job, maybe those other things, those funny things which happen in the procurement department. So to me, some of these areas that really enhances or builds our accountability element to be placed much focus. And another thing is the institution those developing the models. We need to really broaden our thoughts to be so much into what is in the field. Like when we say humanitarian logistics and procurement, we should really align our theories or the write-ups to really focus much on what is really happening in the field, not really the classroom kind of knowledge, like how we the wordings even. That's my thought.
Thank you for that, Blaise. Andrew, I don't know if you have Any comment or addition to that?
Yes. Thank you so much, Blaise. Well noted. And it's true that when you're talking about humanitarian logistics, we must go hand in hand with monitoring and evaluation, doing a feasibility analysis in advance, and being equipped with information so that as you respond to any calamity, it's well done within the shortest time possible. And also, besides the issue of theoretical and hands-on, is well accepted that the current empowerment is supposed to be mostly about the skills empowerment. In the same note, we have noted it and we are going to put it into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Blaise and Andrew. Anthony, I can still see a few more hands up.
Yeah, sure. Now we can have Elmi Osman.
Elmi Osman, are you there with us? Elmi, you may unmute your microphone. Maybe as we wait for Elmi to join us, I can see we have Agostino. Agostino, are you there with us? You may unmute your microphone. Agostino?
I'm here.
Yes, Agostino. Agostino, are you there with us?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm here with you.
Yes, you may proceed to ask your question or make your comment.
Thank you.
Are you Bule? Are you there with us? You?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you very much. I'm Yusuf Ibrahim Bule in Somalia. I really enjoy this webinar. Thanks to the host and the presenters. Thank you all of you and my colleagues also joining from all of Africa. Please, I want to ask you. I want to ask anyone to answer my question, which is very simple. I understand the meaning of supply chain very well, but I could not understand the word value chain since my university. So someone to elaborate, please. Value chain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bule, and well noted. When you are talking about supply chain and the value chain, it depends on the scholar we are using. Sometimes they normally interchangeably used, because as you can see, this diagram you drew up there, which is featuring right now, it talks about adding value to every level in every activity you are doing in supply chain. That's the value chain. What value are we adding under every stage? That we talk about continuous improvement. And when you're talking about supply chain, we are talking about integration, interlinking from one activity to another one so that we can have a consistent flow of activities. I hope you got the difference. Value chain is about what additives, what improvements are we making in the progression as we perform our activities.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I really understand the concept. Thank you very much. And to the rest of you, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bule, for that. And also Andrew. Justin, you may unmute your microphone.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Good morning. I'm Justin from DRC, from Congo. Hello?
Yes, Justin, yes, we can hear you. Justin.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, please, I have two questions. The first one is to know, because I've understood about quality sourcing of goods and suppliers. Then I'd like to know, when we got an emergency request and we don't have time to negotiate price with supplier. Please, how to handle that situation? The first question is to know more about value of money in supply chain management. Please, thank you very much.
Thank you. We are talking about value
of money.
Goods, of money.
Yeah, yeah, goods and money, yes.
And we're also talking about when you don't have time.
Yes.
Come again?
Yes, I would like to know when we got an emergency request of goods, and we don't have time to contact suppliers for negotiating price. How to handle that situation?
Good. Let me respond to this. Value for money. When you're talking about the word value for money, is about how will the customer get the benefit of his costs, benefit of the money he has used to buy this item. One of it, we normally calculate that the benefit he gets, that's the value for money. And that benefit brings about loyalty, brings about satisfaction, brings about, means that the product that was produced met the expectations as per the end user requirements. Part B, the negotiation. We are talking about emergency. When you're talking about emergency, there's no room for negotiation. That's why we talked about it's good to have partnerships in advance, so that in event there's anything that happens, just a matter of making an order, kindly supply us with. And in event we don't have a supplier at hand, then it will force you to go for direct tendering, meaning direct procurement. There's no time for negotiation at all. To count that liability of not having a partner in time, that's why we are talking about have a pre-planning, plan in advance, so that when you are found in a quagmire, you already say you have a baseline where to start from. You have the suppliers ready, just making a phone call. Kindly suppliers with the 10 bags or 1,000 bags of rice to this destination. And because we had already aired out all the agreement, or you are in contractual agreement, then definitely the supplier will do it in time. Hope I've answered you.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, for this response. Thank you very much for everyone who attended this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Justin. And also thank you to you, Andrew, for answering the question. Williams Guta, are you there with us? As I wait for William, I can see Amos.
Hello.
Oh, Williams, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You may proceed to ask a question.
How are you?
I'm very fine, Williams.
Yeah, I just want to ask just one question. I would like to understand that how come a person can be focused on the interest, not on this position. I want you to clarify between the position and the interest. Do you get me?
Come again?
I'm saying that I would like to understand when you come to the principle of negotiation, elements of negotiation. Yes, we have like some. Let me just check here. Okay, I'm saying that is that possible? Not a person not to be focused on his position, but just focus on the interest for an organization. Because like there's a certain point which is saying that. Because I'm trying to check what is somewhere, but.
Okay. Hello, William.
Yes. No. Give to someone, then I'll come back. Just give me.
Okay. Sure. Okay, Andrew. I think maybe what William is trying to ask, if I got the question right, but he can always clarify. When you're doing a negotiation, do you have to really focus on the position of the person that you're negotiating with, or you are supposed to put the interest of the organization first? That is what I was able to capture.
Thank you.
Yeah, now I got the question. That is the elements of this person negotiation. Then they say that one of the elements is description. So he's saying that
Yeah.
focus on interest, not imposition. So I just want to
Okay.
clarify that.
Oh,
What the between the position and the president.
thank you. Remember,
Yes.
you are an employee for that corporate.
Yes.
Being an employee, there's an SOP that you agreed upon, that you're going to do what's required for the company, meaning you are an asset of the company, you are not a liability. So the position at all costs, you are supposed to defend the company at all costs, given what circumstance. So the position is you are supposed to protect the company's image at all costs. 2, in terms of mutual, because I had the issue of mutual, this one I gave it a disclaimer. It will depend with what does the company, the corporate believes in. What is the culture? What the norm of doing activity with the company? Do we embrace negotiation? Do we if at all we embraces the adversarial, meaning that we are supposed to win at all costs, regardless of what circumstance, then it means there's no mutual agreement. And if at all there is, from the corporate policy, we embrace a partnership, then now you can try to make adjustments so that you can allow your partner or the supplier to join you in the process. In short, everything lies, the second part in mutual is the SOP, the principle of the company. That's all. The first one is about you are supposed to be an asset, and at all time you're supposed to preach the best or the positives of the company. Thank you.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Williams. And Andrew? I can see a few more hands up. Abdikarim Ibrahim. Abdikarim Ibrahim, are you there with us? Okay, as we wait for Amos, I can see we have a Beene Meka. Beene Meka, you can unmute your microphone.
Yeah, already unmuted.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for a very interesting presentation. And I got a good knowledge on the procurement processes of during the humanitarian service provision. So, by the way, I asked about the honesty and transparency, but it was replied in a way. My meaning was it was so much abuse. There is corruption. It's linked with that one. But I got it an answer after my one of the participants asked about the corruptions and the abuse that occurred in the procurement processes in the, I think, 2 or 3 hands before. So my next question is, when should we start the procurement process? Okay, is it at the verge of when the disaster occurs, or in the middle, or the humanitarian service provision organization are ready always with a different kind of resources to support the affected peoples and ready for that one? When should we start? Because the procurement processes are usually long. I don't know how can we shorten it in order to reach on time for the affected peoples. And again, there is long bureaucracies, maybe in search of funds, suppliers, etc. That may take time, and the affected peoples may be more affected. The other thing, when we see in some humanitarian services, like for the drought affected peoples, these peoples are seen, just they receive oil and flour or some other supporters from the humanitarian service providing agencies, but they sell it outside. I don't think that the choice of the affected peoples are given these opportunities just for their own choices. So do the humanitarian service agencies, when they provide these services to the affected people, do they see the choice of the affected peoples? When do you respect? This is my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let me respond to it. They are in two bits. One is about when are we supposed to start procurement process. Two, the vulnerable people, they are not involved in the procurement process. How do we determine that this is the right product for them? I think if I captured your question well, those are the two questions. And I'm going to respond to them. The normal procedure of starting a procurement process is by the end user, from the end user's requests, end user's need. But this is a unique circumstance. Being a unique circumstance means these vulnerable people, they don't have time. Even the circumstance, the environment is not favorable for them to discuss. Now, what are we supposed to do? We talk about the feasibility analysis, monitoring and evaluation. We can borrow idea, the happenings that happen somewhere at a given time. Because when you're talking about the calamities, it can be an earthquake, it can be the floodings. So the happenings from the different activities that happened sometimes ago, we can do analysis, then benchmark and come up with a baseline. That in event of such an event happens or such an activity happens, then this is how we are supposed to gap. In a nutshell, the donors are supposed to have a pre-planning activity so that they have optimum items or goods in their storages. For example, being that we are the donors and maybe we want to rescue the lives of our people, maybe because of the earthquake, we can check from the different previous scenarios that happened and how was it responded. Then from there, it will help us to come up with the right specs that our users may need. So for this case, is a unique, the customer or the donor will stand in for the user. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I hope your question has been well answered.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's answered.
Okay. I can see Amos. Amos, are you there with us? Okay, as we wait for Mohammed, I think Anthony.
So thank you so much, Eric, and to all of our participants, and also our presenter for the day. It has been a long session, but a very informative one. We have come to the end of the session, but as we always say, sometimes it's not possible to handle everything within the time frame of 2 hours. And that's why I would like also now to share my screen, just a quick way as we wind up, to take you through on how you can be part of the humanitarian global community so that we can share more information, interact with each other, and get to learn from each other. So Eric, just confirm whether you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just as a further engagement and how you can continue studying in these and other topic areas, you can head over to our website, and we have many courses, especially when it comes to procurement and supply chain management. And this is the website. So that is www.humanitarianglobal.com. So once you go to the website, on the homepage, even on the homepage, you can see the courses. For instance, you might want to have a look at the postgraduate diploma level training on what we offer when it comes to procurement. So once you click on that link, you're going to be redirected to where we have the course outline and much information about that course. You can see what is covered there. This is going to help you when it comes to gaining more knowledge and skills in this particular area. So we cover quite a lot, and you can even see how the course has been structured, the duration of the course, the training, how long does it take, and also the mode of delivery and how you can make an application. So as we said, we want to extend support in encouraging you to study with us. And that's why we are giving you a 10% discount so that you can enroll and start training in these courses. So once you go to the website on how to apply, very simple. So like this is the course of interest. You can see there's an apply button. So that would take you through to a form that you need to register, so that now our team can capture your details, and then they're going to follow up with you when it comes to guiding you further. So we encourage you, we have many courses, go there, try to browse them, see what you might be interested in, starting from the certificate level course in procurement, diploma level training in procurement, and also postgraduate diploma training in procurement. And also, as we said, on the Humanitarian Global website, we have the link to the Humanitarian Global community. Like for today, I know some of us might be having questions still related to the topic, so we might not be able to respond to all of them now. So we encourage you, go and click on this link. You're going to be redirected to a page for you to sign up. So make sure that you can sign up for you to be part of the community. So you click on that link of sign up. So here you just have to fill a simple form, just your email address, your username, your full name, and then a password. And then you're going to have an access to the forum. In the forum, you can be able to join the procurement class. And that's where now you can even post the questions, and we're going to respond to you. So quite a lot, and I believe we can always get to interact further, share knowledge between each other, amongst ourselves, based on our experiences as well. So quite a lot, and we have tried to keep on innovating and coming up with these platforms, ways on how we can better our service delivery to you. And also when it comes to recorded version of the session, a day after, that is when we do send the details to you. So I think for this one, I would say on Monday, you're supposed to get an email that does give you the links to the recorded version of the class, and then also the slides, the presentation slides on where you can download them. So on Monday, you're going to get a notification email, which does provide you with those links. But for you to follow up and be the first one to get those notifications, make sure that you can also be part of, you can go to the website again, and that's where you're going to find that we have a link for YouTube channel. So once you go to the YouTube channel, that's where you'll be able to even see other webinars that we've done, the webinars that we've done previously, and that cuts across different areas. We mentioned of the importance of aspect of monitoring and evaluation. We do offer it as a separate training, so that means you're going through the YouTube channel. There's a lot that you can review and get to learn. So once you go there, make sure that you can subscribe. And that would mean that anytime that we upload a new video, you're going to be the first one to receive a notification. So with that said, I would like to extend our gratitude on behalf of Humanitarian Global Institute for joining. This is our first episode. We look forward to very many episodes when it comes to procurement and supply chain management. And let's continue practicing what you've learned. Let's share this kind of information with our colleagues back at work. We wish you and look forward to seeing you in other sessions. And from Humanitarian Global, we have a great weekend. So thank you so much, and see you in our next webinar. Thank you so much.